you talked about trying to juggle a lot of balls and needing to know which ones are plastic and which ones are glass. So we had a question, how do you determine that? I guess you can just say, how do you prioritize your day to day?
That's a very good question. I will say a lot of it is trial and error, and a lot of it just comes with experience. So some of the glass balls in particular are figuring out, if I don't get back to this client, what happens next? Like, what is the domino effect? That's something that I'm always running through in my head. I need to input a project that denotes someone's PTO, that denotes a project move, or I can make sure that we have this project set up for next week. A lot of it comes down to timing, and a lot of it is just knowing, if I don't handle this in the next day, 2 days, 1 week, what will happen? And sometimes I have calculated that completely wrong. And then I'm like, oh, that was a glass ball. Note to self. Next time, one of those, I feel like it's coming down. That matters. And it also helps to have good managers who tell you when the ship is about to tip. And they're like, I see you're struggling. And I'm like, thank you, because I would say this is common amongst project managers. It's definitely a thing of mine. I like to think that I can get it all done, and it's fine. It's fine. I don't need help. It's helpful to have other people provide those checks and balances and say, I think you're stretching yourself thin. So just a combination of experience, dropping the balls and seeing which ones they are. And probably some of the best career advice I got was from someone who, she was in her 60s. She had done some amazing things, and she had a family. And I think in particular for women, you run into the question of, how do you manage personal life versus professional life, which that is a question that men don't get answered or don't get asked, and they still manage to do it just fine. But your career is long, and your priorities will change from year to year, from decade to decade. And some years, one thing will take the front seat and your career may take a back seat. And so the balls are both a daily thing in terms of managing projects, but it's also a big picture thing of, what are the things that I'm prioritizing? And Katie kind of hit this with long-term goals.
Yeah, I've maybe turned some balls that should have been glass into plastic, or vice versa. Whoops.
See, now that's the real magic, is turning a glass ball into plastic.
Yeah. That's like that's a kind of a win in some circumstances, if you've like smoothed over a client that's unhappy or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.